To commemorate the speech of his father here in Fort Wayne, Martin Luther King III spoke at the very same venue just a few years ago. So with me today to share about that experience and the legacy of Dr. MLK is Reverend Dr. Bill McGill, who is the senior pastor of Imani Baptist Temple here in Fort Wayne. Hi, Reverend.
It's a pleasure to be here, Jessica.
Thank you so much for joining me today for this special on MLK. And I know that you were involved in bringing back his son and commemorating that special moment here in Fort Wayne just a few years ago in 2019. So can you please share with me about that experience and putting that whole thing together?
Well, I think it was a surreal experience, no two ways about it, to have the son of this icon agree to come and share with us in the midst of our ongoing drive to move from the celebration of his dream to the replication of his dream. That's always been the challenge, I think. America has been good in embracing Dr. King as a celebrity,
yes,
but not understanding that our failure to move forward in race relations then damages our nation's credibility. At the time that Martin Luther King III came, he asked me on our way to the venue, he said, just give me a sense of the environment of Fort Wayne, Indiana. At that point, I said, Martin, when your father came here, there was one African American on the city council. Here we are all those years later, we still only had one African American on the city council. To the city's credit, of course, weeks later, we would elect not one, but two African American women. But I think if either of them were sitting here on the couch with me, they would still agree that we still got a while to go.
Yeah, progress to be made as we just continue to learn and really take from the messaging that Dr. Martin Luther King just really placed on all of our hearts. And so my question to you is, what do you feel is the impact of his presence here in the city back in 1963 when he gave a speech here? How do you think that really impacted our community?
Well, I think as an individual that was in Cleveland, Ohio at that point, so I was not here, honesty forces me to submit, but I've talked to individuals, both living and now a part of the celestial shore, that admitted that it was a seminal moment in the city's history. And it showed that, in the words of Dr. King, that we were in many ways up south. We talk about down south, but he reflected upon an up south mentality, that the people in the Midwest had a more polite nature, but it really was symbolic of the cover-up of their real feelings of racism, bigotry, and discrimination. While there was a packed place at the venue supporting the message, there were still marchers outside shadowing and mirroring the Ku Klux Klan and other hate groups in our community. And so there was an open door to Dr. King, but there was also evidence that liberty and justice and equality was still an unrealized chore.
That's impactful. That is, and just reflecting upon that, I know that building off of that momentum and growth over the years has been something important in Fort Wayne. And I know that you've been involved in just continuing to throw different events and commemorating that moment in June when he did come. So can you share with me about the events that you've had over the years? You
know, it all started with a phone call to Jackie Joyner Kersey to ask if she would come and help us commemorate the event by a march at that point from Northside High School down to Fryman Square. She readily accepted the invitation, and from that day forward, it gave validation to the event and made it much easier for me to send an invitation to individuals because we had a point of reference. And so after that, it was C.T. Vivian and Diane Nash, icons, started the Freedom Riders movement in Nashville. And then, of course, to have Dr. King's son come was just kind of the apex of activities celebrating that. But I think all of them had a common theme, a common thread, that we have to make sure that we are not just celebrating the man, but pushing aside his plan. Because, again, it's so easy to get lost in the words and the melody, the words and the cadence of Dr. King, and not honestly admitting that we have yet to see Let Freedom Ring. And so, Dr. King, were he alive, would be 94 years of age this year.
Wow, yes.
94 years of age. He would be sorely disappointed in the measure of progress that we have made. And so we've come so far, but we've got so much further to go. Our nation remains the yet to be united, in the words of that sainted woman, Maya Angelou. These are the yet to be United States of America. We've come a long way.
Yes.
But we've taken some steps at time that have caused our commitment to stray. And so I think we've got to make sure that we put greater intensity and integrity into play. I feel like preaching, Sister Jessica, so I better stop before I co-opt this interview.
Yes, but that is definitely a really great point that you make, because sometimes on this day, it's so much energy towards the quotes in the isolated messages instead of the plan that he had and how we can execute on his word. So I love that. And I love that Fort Wayne has so many different things to offer today that people can attend and just really celebrate. And you have something coming up in June. I know you can't say a whole bunch.
Yeah, we can't say a whole lot at
Give
this
us
point.
a
But it will
little
just be,
taste.
we will be consistent
Okay.
in our support. And this is an exciting year because it indeed will mark 60 years since Dr. King was here. The new Martin Luther King Memorial will be completed by then.
Yes.
And so our event will just put a nail in the celebration that solidifies it. And we're excited about the opportunities that we have and individuals that we're negotiating with to come and share.
Okay.
I'll make sure to give you the scoop.
Okay, yes. Well, I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you so much, Reverend, for coming in and sharing just the richness of the experience and the legacy of Dr. King.
Well, again, thank you for inviting us. It's always a salient opportunity for me to bring Dr. King's words out of obscurity and see them again as a message of opportunity that can move us away from our racial futility. Thank you for having me.
I love that so much. A message of opportunity. We'll be right back.